Let's talk about interesting timing, right? Rashida Jones steps down from leading MSNBC, and it's just a couple of days before the new president takes over.
Yeah.
I mean, she was the first Black woman to run one of the big cable news channels, so that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, it is.
And remember how during the Trump years, MSNBC was actually beating CNN in the ratings?
I do.
But ever since that last election, their numbers have really tanked. Makes you wonder what's going on over there, right?
It does.
Well, let's take a deep dive and try to figure it out.
Right.
So first things first, this is more than just someone deciding to move on, you know?
Right.
Jones was at the helm during a crazy time in politics. Plus, the whole media landscape was changing like crazy while she was there.
Yeah, totally.
And let's not forget, she made some big changes, too.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
She gave more airtime to Morning Joe and Nicole Wallace's show.
Right.
And she even got Jen Psaki to come on board.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
I mean, getting Psaki was a huge win for them.
Big time.
What do you think they were going for with that?
Well, I think it's pretty obvious they wanted someone who had been in the White House, you know, to give that insider perspective on things.
You think they were trying to get viewers who really follow all the political stuff?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think they wanted to be the go-to channel for people who are really into politics.
Okay, so they're making changes, trying to stay on top of things, but then you have this whole other thing happening behind the scenes.
Like that.
Corporate shakeup?
Ah, right.
MSNBC and CNBC got split off from NBC News.
Yep.
They made this whole new company run by Mark Lazarus.
Yeah.
Do you think maybe that's what pushed Jones out the door?
It's possible, right?
Yeah.
I mean, anytime you restructure a company, it shakes things up.
Yeah.
Priorities change, reporting lines get all messed up.
Yeah. Who you report to can definitely change things.
You really can. And so maybe Jones just felt like it was time to move on.
It's pretty wild, though, that through all of this, they kept the name MSNBC.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, it's so 90s.
It really is.
Like Microsoft, who even thinks about them anymore?
I know, right?
I'm actually kind of shocked they didn't rebrand the whole channel.
I know. It's a little ironic, isn't it?
Yeah, a bit.
Holding on to this name from the old tech world when everything is digital now.
It really is.
But hey, maybe they like the name recognition, even if it feels a little dated.
Maybe.
Or maybe they're going for that retro vibe, you know?
Who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
But let's get back to those ratings for a second.
Okay.
They took a big hit after the last election, just like a lot of the cable news channels.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you think that's just how it goes? Or is there something bigger happening here?
Well, it's pretty normal for news channels that are seen as siding with the losing party to see their numbers drop.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I think there's something else going on, too.
Like what?
Cord cutting.
Yeah. Less and less people are paying for cable these days.
Exactly. And that means fewer people are watching cable news, period.
So it's like a double whammy for places like MSNBC.
Right. They lose viewers because of the political shift and because people are just changing how they watch news.
So it's not looking so good for them, huh?
Well, they did make one interesting move.
That's that.
Rachel Maddow is back to doing 5 nights a week.
Oh, yeah. I heard about that.
It's kind of a big deal considering everything else that's happening.
Yeah, it is.
What do you make of that move?
I don't know.
Could mean a couple of things, right?
Yeah.
Like maybe they think they need more opinion-heavy stuff to get viewers back.
Yeah, Maddow is definitely known for her opinions.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
She's not afraid to say what she thinks.
Nope.
But it could also be that they're trying to project some stability, you know?
I could see that.
Like a familiar face during all this change.
Yeah. Maybe that's it.
So are they trying to relive the glory days of the Trump years, or are they trying to find a new way forward?
That's a good question.
I think that's something for our listeners to think about.
Yeah, they should.
How much of MSNBC's success was tied to all the drama of the Trump presidency?
That's a great question.
To really understand that, we need to look at how cable news has changed in general.
Right, not just MSNBC.
We live in a world where news is constant.
Totally.
It's everywhere all the time.
It's overwhelming sometimes.
And cable news isn't the only game in town anymore.
Not even close.
So we've got a new administration, a corporate shakeup ratings in the toilet, and the return of a star player.
That pretty much sums it up.
It's a lot to unpack.
It is.
Is this just a little hiccup for MSNBC, or are they heading for a full-blown identity crisis?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
We'll have to keep digging into this in our next segment.
Sounds good. It's more than just a hiccup. I think it's a whole new way people are getting their news.
What do you mean?
Think about it. You probably get most of your news from your phone, right?
Oh, yeah, totally. I'm always scrolling through Twitter, checking news apps.
Right, exactly. And cable news just feels kind of old school.
Yeah, it's definitely my parents' thing.
That's the problem for MSNBC and all those cable channels.
What do you mean?
They're up against this constant flood of information.
Yeah.
We've got it all right there in our pockets 24/7.
It's true.
So it's no wonder people aren't watching cable as much.
So is this the beginning of the end for cable news?
I wouldn't go that far, but it's definitely a sign of the times.
So what do they have to do to keep up?
They have to give people something they can't get just from scrolling on their phone.
Like what?
I don't know, maybe more deep dives into the news.
Okay.
Investigative stuff,
Yeah.
Or even ways for people to be part of the conversation.
Interesting.
They also need to figure out how to get younger viewers.
Yeah, those are the ones who grew up with all this digital stuff.
Exactly. They're used to getting their news in quick little bits.
So they need to be informative, but also keep people's attention.
That's the challenge, isn't it?
It is. So are they doing that? I mean, with the programming they've got now, is MSNBC on the right track?
I think it's kind of a mixed bag,
Oh, yeah, so.
Well, they've got a lot of shows that are all about opinions. And some people really love that.
Right.
But if they focus too much on that, they might lose people who want, just the facts.
Yeah.
So they need to find a way to have both.
Opinions and the straight news.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And appeal to different types of viewers.
Sounds like a tough spot to be in.
It is. They need to keep the viewers they have and get new ones at the same time.
And that's hard to do.
It's a balancing act. And it's not just MSNBC that's facing this.
Yeah.
The whole media world is trying to figure it out.
So much uncertainty.
There is, but it's also a really exciting time to be in media.
How so?
The landscape is shifting constantly, and those who can adapt will be the ones who make it.
Adapt and change with the times.
Exactly.
Okay, so back to MSNBC.
Yeah.
We talked about the problems, but are there opportunities here too?
I think so.
Like what?
They could play up their strengths, right?
Yeah. Okay.
They've always been known for really digging into the news, especially when it comes to politics.
Yeah.
They could become the place to go for that kind of in-depth, thoughtful coverage.
Instead of trying to be everything to everyone?
Exactly.
Yeah.
They could be like the brainy cable news channel.
Interesting.
They could get all the viewers who were sick of the hype and drama on other channels.
That would definitely mean making some hard choices, though.
Yeah, about the shows they have and who they're trying to reach.
But it could work.
It could.
What else? Are there other ways they could go?
Well, they could try out new stuff.
Like what?
Different formats, new technology, reach more people.
So more online stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe work with streaming services.
That's a good one.
Even try those interactive things we were talking about.
Right, get people involved.
So basically go all in on digital media.
Exactly. Become a news organization that's everywhere.
On TV, online, everywhere.
And keep up with how people are getting their news.
That makes sense. But there are still those same questions.
Like what?
How do they get younger people watching without losing the older ones?
Yeah, that's a tough one.
And can they balance opinions with real reporting without, losing their credibility?
Those are the big questions for MSNBC right now.
And they're not easy to answer.
Not at all.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see what they do.
Yeah, it's a big test for them.
It is. And it's not just about them either.
What do you mean?
It's about understanding how the media is changing all around us.
Yeah, this is more than just a look behind the scenes at MSNBC.
Right. It's about figuring out what's happening to the news we all get every day.
So what can we do as people who, watch the news, read the news, listen to the news? How can we stay informed in this crazy media world?
I mean, it can be overwhelming, right?
Yeah, there's so much out there.
New apps, new websites, new platforms all the time.
It's hard to keep up.
I think the most important thing is to be smart about the news you get.
Oh, okay. What does that mean?
Don't just scroll through your feeds without thinking.
Right.
Be critical of the information you see.
Don't just believe everything you read.
Exactly. Question everything.
So how do we do that? Give us some tips.
Well, first of all, don't get all your news from just one place. Look at different websites, different channels.
To mix it up, different perspectives.
Right, and different formats, too.
Like what?
Read longer articles. Listen to podcasts.
Like this one.
Yeah, exactly. And even check out what people on the other side are saying.
Okay, so don't just stay in your own little bubble.
It's so easy to do that these days.
Yeah, you just see the same stuff over and over again.
Right, so make an effort to get outside of that.
And listen to different viewpoints. Good advice, and don't be afraid to question what you think.
Exactly. Think about why you like certain news sources.
Okay.
What biases you might have.
Biases.
Yeah, like, are there certain things you already believe that might be affecting how you see the news?
Oh, I see.
And ask yourself, are you getting the whole story or just part of it?
That's a good point.
It takes effort, but it's how you become really informed.
Not just knowing stuff, but understanding it.
Exactly.
So it's about being an active part of the news.
Yes.
Not just letting it wash over you.
Right. You have to engage with it.
Think about it.
And talk about it with other people.
That's a good one, talking about it with people who maybe see things differently than you do.
Exactly, because at the end of the day, we all need to be informed citizens.
For a democracy to work.
That's right. And that's what we're all about here on The Deep Dive.
Getting people to think critically.
To explore different ideas.
And become more informed citizens.
That's the goal.
All right, so we've talked about the challenges facing MSNBC.
Yep.
But what about the good stuff? What are some things they could do to move forward?
Well, they could use their history to their advantage, right?
What do you mean?
They've always been known for in-depth analysis and commentary, especially about politics.
Yeah.
They could really focus on that and become the go-to source for thoughtful, nuanced coverage.
So instead of trying to be everything to everyone, they could focus on what they do best.
Right, and become the thinking person's cable news network.
I like that.
They could attract viewers who are tired of the sensationalism and superficiality of other news outlets.
It's a good strategy.
It would require them to make some tough choices about their programming and who they are targeting.
But it could pay off in the long run.
It could, and it's not the only path forward for them.
What else could they do?
They could experiment with new formats and technologies to reach a wider audience.
Okay, like what kind of stuff?
They could create more digital content.
Okay.
Partner with streaming services, or even develop interactive experiences that engage viewers on a deeper level.
So they could embrace the digital age and become a multi-platform news organization.
Precisely. They could reach viewers wherever they are on their TV, their phone, or their computer.
So they could become a truly modern news organization.
That's the idea.
That's adapted to the changing media landscape.
Exactly.
These are all exciting possibilities.
They are.
But they come with their own challenges.
Of course.
How do you attract a younger audience without alienating your existing viewers?
Right.
How do you balance opinion with hard news without sacrificing your integrity?
Those are the questions MSNBC needs to answer as they move forward.
It's not going to be easy for them.
It's not. But it will be fascinating to watch.
Definitely. And for our listeners, this is an opportunity to think critically about the news you consume.
Absolutely.
And the role of media in our society.
It's bigger than just one cable news network.
It is. It's about how we all stay informed and engaged.
In this rapidly changing media landscape.
It's about asking questions, exploring different perspectives.
Right, and being an active participant in the conversation.
About the world around us.
That's what it's all about.
It feels like we're watching the whole cable news industry change right in front of us.
It is a really interesting time.
Like a slow motion train wreck or something.
Yeah, kind of. But it's also exciting, you know?
Exciting how?
Because it's not just about new technology or new ways of getting the news.
Okay.
It's a whole new way of thinking about what news even is and how it works.
What do you mean by that?
Well, for a long time, cable news was king, right?
Yeah, they decided what we saw.
Exactly. They picked the stories, they told us how to think about them.
And who got to be on TV.
Right, but that's all changing now.
Is that because of social media? The internet?
Yeah, all of that. It's like the information floodgates have opened.
So cable news isn't in control anymore.
Nope. Now everyone's got a voice, everyone's got a platform.
Which is good, right? More voices, more perspectives.
In theory, yeah, but it's also created a lot of problems.
Like what?
All the misinformation out there.
Yeah, it's hard to know what to believe sometimes.
And the echo chambers.
Echo chambers?
You know, where you only see stuff that you already agree with.
Oh, yeah, those are bad.
So we've got all this information, but how do we know what's true?
It's a mess out there.
It really is.
So what do? How do we make sure people are getting good information, reliable information?
We have to teach people how to be smarter about the news they consume.
Media literacy, you mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We need to show people how to look at a source and figure out if it's trustworthy.
Okay.
How to spot bias. You know when someone is leaning one way or another.
Oh, yeah.
And how to tell the difference between facts and opinions.
So we all need to be more critical.
Yeah, exactly. Think for yourself. Don't just swallow everything you see.
And that's something everyone can do.
Anyone can be a more mindful news consumer.
So it's about being careful about where you get your news.
Yeah.
Who you listen to.
And what your own biases might be.
Because we all have biases, right?
We do, whether we realize it or not.
So it's not just about reading a bunch of articles or watching a bunch of news shows.
It's about engaging with the information, thinking about it critically.
And talking to other people about it.
Especially people who have different views than you.
Okay, that's a good one, getting out of your own bubble.
Yeah, that's so important.
Because the news isn't just something we take in, you know?
Right.
It's something we should be talking about, debating even.
The conversation.
Yeah, exactly, and it should be a respectful conversation.
Yeah.
Based on facts, not just emotions. So this whole MSNBC thing, it's bigger than just one cable news channel, right?
Way bigger.
It's about how the media is changing how we all get our news.
It's about the evolution of news.
The democratization of information.
Exactly.
And all the challenges and opportunities that come with that.
It's a new world out there.
It is, and we need to be ready for it.
We do.
So what's the takeaway for our listeners?
Stay curious.
Stay informed.
And stay engaged.
The future of news is in your hands.
That's right.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the MSNBC shakeup.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll see you next time for another fascinating look at the world of news and information.